Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to a new edition of our Google Expert Hangouts. Well, as you've probably seen, we are right in the middle of the first qualification games for the EHF Euro 2016. So the EHF Euro 2016 in Poland is our topic tonight. And very happy to welcome our guests. Starting from the right, we go to Björn Patzen, who joins us from Germany.
Hi.
Right next to him is Nemanja Savic, a Serbian journalist located in Belgrade, and I think that's where you are, Nemanja, is it right? Belgrade?
Yeah, right. Hello, everyone.
Very well-known face, Peter Brun, who joins us from Frederikshavn in Denmark tonight.
Good afternoon.
And a very special guest, our EHF TV Champions League commentator, who's just woken up from his EHF Euro hibernation and has had frantic calls with Irish Telecom so that I have a wireless line in his holiday home so that he can join us. Here is Tom. Hi, Tom.
Sorry, that means hello everybody from the Gaeltacht and Kerry. Hello.
Well, guys, the first round of the EHF Euro has been played. I'm not going to torture you with any questions who will win in just about a year's and a few months' time. But there obviously have been some interesting developments, I think especially coaches-wise, and maybe because we have you on board, Peter. It was the first game of Gudmundur Gudmundsson, the first competitive game with him in charge. What's the reaction of Denmark, and has the team changed under his guidance now?
Well, the changes he has made so far have been changes which he has been more or less forced to make, because as many will know, several or a couple of players have said goodbye to the national team since their latest major tournament, the EHF Euro 2014 here in Denmark in January. Thomas Mogensen, playmaker from Flensburg, has said goodbye to the national team, and the same applies to line player Michael Knudsen. Furthermore, another playmaker, Rasmus Lauke, is still injured. So obviously, Gudmundur Gudmundsson has had to start his reign as Danish national coach by making some forced changes. So far, I wouldn't say that he has put so much of his own handprint on the team or its way of playing. He is still carrying on the same 6-0 defense as Ulrik Wilbek, his predecessor, practiced most of the time. And of course, he has only had very limited time to work with the team. For instance, he has had no test matches since taking over as a Danish national coach. So he hasn't changed all that much, apart from the changes which he has been forced to make.
Okay. For all you fans out there, obviously I forgot this right at the beginning. Of course, please send us your questions to Twitter at ehfeuro.com, at EHFeuro, sorry. And for everyone who's following us on the Google Plus, use the Q&A tool, and we'll throw in your questions as they come. Tom, you know Gudmundur obviously from the Champions League, and you saw Denmark at the last Euro. Is he the right coach for this team? What do you think?
Well, believe it or not, I spoke to the Rhein-Neckar-Löwen players in Vardar. We were sitting around, myself, Andy Schmidt, Gritsky, and the Swedish boy who just left, Ekdal. And I asked them about Gudmundur, and they all said that he is an incredible coach, that his tactics are spot on, that his preparation for games is absolutely immaculate, and that he really, really understands the game. That as a coach, he's really, really good. Perhaps as an Icelander, I say as an Icelander, and I put it in inverted commas, they're not the warmest until you get to know them, you know. So they said Gudmundur is not kind of the warmest guy. He's very strict in a lot of rules, and I wonder whether that would suit. Peter might be able to answer this, of course, as a Dane. Would that suit the Danish mentality, who are quite relaxed in their approach? You know what I mean? They're very professional, but they like a bit of fun, and they like to enjoy themselves. So Gudmundur as a coach, 100% is fantastic, but perhaps is a little bit maybe too controlling. Now I'll throw that out to Peter there while he's there, because he would know better, and maybe we'd know from the media up there.
Peter, is there a clash of mentalities or not at all?
So far, I would say that he appears more relaxed than Ulrik Wilbek did. So maybe he's more controlling when he's around his players. But from my impression and from the impression many others have got of him, he actually seems pretty relaxed around the players and around the press and around practically everyone. So I don't think there's a lot of difference in mentality there. And you also have to remember that he has a certain experience with Danish players from the past, from being a coach in GOB and being sports director in AG København. That was for a short while, but still that was also some Danish experience he got there. So I don't see all this gap in mentality as you might expect between him and Ulrik Wilbek, whom he has followed.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, obviously in Germany we have another Icelandic coach who's just celebrated his debut on the competitive level for Germany, Dago Sigurdsson, and I think I read today that Conny Wilczynski, the former Austrian international, said that he could build something truly great in Germany. Would you agree? And what's your impression after they, well, obviously comfortably beat Finland, but nevertheless it was Finland only?
Yes, when you see, we had all the discussion in Germany who will succeed on Martin Heuberger, or will he return even as they got this wild card for the World Championship. I think it was the right decision to take Dago Sigurdsson. He has experience in bringing talents up to a higher level. He showed it in Berlin. He showed it in the Austrian time when he was also parallel coach of Austria and Germany, and as the time was short and the number of candidates which could do the job immediately was not so big, that he's known in having this double function with club and national team. So I was there at this first match against Switzerland, and you saw that he gives a lot of playing time to the talent. But you saw he had 2 times against Switzerland and now once against Finland. So the first real proof of his work will be on Sunday in Austria. But I think it fits quite good with the team, and he knows a lot of players, and also from the Bundesliga, and the situation that the league is absolutely behind this decision to give him the chance to be national team coach also shows that the league and the federation are working a little bit closer than they did in previous years. So I think he can take his chance, he can grab his chance, and it will be very funny on Sunday, as he will face not only his former team, but also one of his best friends in Patrick Johannesson.
What's your guess on this match? I think I also read, and I think it was Wilczynski as well. He said it's going to be like chess, so like very.
So it might be a tactical match, but you just have to see the personal constellation the Austrians have at the moment. They have to replace their team captain Viktor Szilagyi, who's a very, very important player for them, and he will not be there. And when we saw on Wednesday when they played in Spain that Johannesson gave a lot of playing time to the younger players like Bilic, and it will be interesting if we'll give it also tomorrow on Sunday or not, because I think this group is really thrilling, and this match can even be crucial already now, which team will finish on the 2nd or 3rd position. So it might a little be like chess, but I don't expect it. I would say that the defense will decide, and when you saw the German defense, they did not allow Finland for 45 minutes to score even 10 goals. So they were focused, and if they can do it on Sunday again, in my opinion, they're a little bit in the favored position. So when you see the team lineup, no more, or only one world champion of 2007 is in the squad with Carsten Lichtlein. But I think in this constellation that Austria will have to replace Szilagyi, the German team should be in a little favored role. Also, 6,000 spectators in Vienna will be against them, of course.
Nemanja, well, new coaches all around, and there's also a new coach courtside for Serbia. What's your impression of Dejan Peric and his first game against Montenegro, which they won?
Well, he obviously has some Euro experience, being the assistant of Vladan Matic at Celje beforehand. Matic brought him to the Serbian national team, so he obviously knows how the team works, and he was with them in Denmark. But I've seen some changes that he's trying to employ, and I'm, let's say, cautiously optimistic about it, because Serbia is currently a work in progress, because he's trying to do something. You see not a lot of familiar faces have been invited for a team, like Radivojevic, for example, who was very good. He called Darko Đukić on the right wing, and it was a very good decision by him. So that's just one of the examples of nice team leadership from Perić. So for me, let's just say we just have to wait and see. A game against Israel is going to be tough for Serbia, because the Serbian coach is coaching Israel, so it's going to be like a neighboring duel. So yeah.
Is that World Championship playoff against Czech Republic, this very disappointing one, is that still weighing on Serbia's minds, do you think? Or is that something that they put away?
Well, yeah, it is. It's definitely something that's going to be pretty hard to forget. You know, it's something that we counted on to happen, but it didn't for I don't know what reason, but especially because all the regional teams are at the World Championship. You take Bosnia, take Croatia, and Serbia missed out. So it's very difficult, and it's a tough blow mentally for the players. Of course, I spoke with Ilić about it, and he told me that, well, it's a very tough blow, but it's something that drives them forward. You know, they will have to approach games a bit more seriously.
Well, as I said, it's a lot of our coaches, but I think we haven't talked about the biggest surprise courtside yet. Obviously, Hungary, just before the whole qualification started, suddenly got Talant Dujshebaev out of the hat. Tom, what did you think when you heard that Talant is going into a double role, Kielce and the Hungarian national team at the same time?
I couldn't believe it, but I have to say the interview by our Bjorn Patzon was absolutely sensational. Including the line that the wife supports him because of the joint bank account. I thought that was absolutely sensational. the best line I ever heard in any interview ever. I mean, they were lucky, weren't they? They were lucky to get away with it. 3 goals. Were they 3 goals down against Portugal? I mean, anybody expecting that? All right, they're missing Laszlo Nagy, but they can't continue to depend upon Laszlo Nagy. They had Balach, who's playing fantastically in the Champions League at the moment for Pix again in the right back position, and they're still 3 goals down, and they managed to pull it out of the bag. So they were quite lucky in the end, but a huge surprise for me that Talant Dujshebaev was called on to coach the Hungarian national team. It's just going to be another language that he's able to speak, you know, in the end, Thomas.
That's true, and we get some tweets here, and I think you should continue speaking in Gaelic, actually. I think the fans out there like that.
They like that, do they? Well, nuair a chúla mise gur Talant Dujshebaev i dul ag gunnar, mé siocht a bhí a chuláb mór go leor aige I Kielce fi láthir.
Well, despite the small sound problems that we had, I think our Gaelic fan base has just increased by about 1,000% just within like 5 seconds or so.
But Thomas, I have to say, how wonderful was that interview with Bjorn? Bjorn, I don't know how you did it, but you really got Talant Dujshebaev to open up in an interview for the first time ever, probably on any interview that was being done.
I dialed his phone number. He said, "I only have 10 minutes, so be quick." So that was all.
You're a genius. You're a genius. Yeah, but I think that you can't judge. Can we just go back to you can't judge the Hungary game on one game, Thomas. I think, but I would like to go back to Nemanja and the Serbia-Montenegro game. It was one of the few games I was able to watch, and I also don't think you can judge either Serbia or Montenegro when they play in these kind of close derbies. Very, very difficult. And overall, Nemanja, the game was pretty shocking. It was pretty poor. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I actually watched it live because I wanted to see all the aspects of the game because Montenegro is, well, the youngest squad ever, and Serbia has a new coach. So I paid attention to some details that you can't obviously see on the TV. And, well, yeah, in truth, it was a poor game. It could have gone a lot better, and that's the general consensus among the fans here. You know, at this stage, a win is a win, and they should be happy that they got it because the game could have gone either way. But, well, the winning margin should be quite bigger because Montenegro is experiencing a lot of significant changes. First of all, no Ševaljević in the team. You know, he could have easily got the difference. That was 4 goals. So, yeah, that's one of the things I've seen. So yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add, Tom?
No, I just watched the game. You know, I mean, you look. I thought that Stojkovic was fantastic again for them. I think he's playing some great handball this season. But you look at Serbia, and you just expect so much more from them with that back division of Ilic and Vujian. You just really expect more. And I thought Chutura did okay for the age of him. You know, that he's still knocking about, and they looked okay when he was in the centre there. And I really like. Was Marstinic also was playing in that game, wasn't he? I like him a lot.
Yeah, him too. The thing is that the middle back position has always been problematic for Serbia because the way the team functions, it's based around playing around the organizer, around the playmaker, and we do not have an adequate playmaker. We have a few, and pretty much all three of them makes a perfect playmaker, but not only one player, you know.
The jigsaw man, the Lego man.
Yeah. Definitely.
Maybe can you say what are the main differences between the team, and it's not that long ago. I mean, you know, 2.5 years that won silver at the men's EHF Euro in Serbia, and now obviously, you know, they struggled in Denmark. They obviously had a very disappointed World Championship qualification, and yeah.
Well, you know what? 2 years, it's a very long period. You know, it's a very long period in handball because things change. We've had a different approach under Coach Vukovic. He was defensive-minded. He wanted to concede as few goals as possible, and a lot of approaches changed in the team, and none of them was able to settle. You know. And right now we have a team in a constant stage of transition from one way of playing to another, you know, from coach to coach. And we have the last 3 competitions, if I'm right, that were lacking in play and lacking in results. So I think that the changes are more than visible. If not on the team sheets, then on the court, you know. Because the players are pretty much the same. We see the re-emergence of Chutura in the team at 38. He's still a magnificent player, but you know the time is working against him.
Mm.
Thomas, I think that, anyway, you can't really judge. I'm sure Peter and Bjorn agree. Like, these guys are playing with their clubs all the time. They're training with their teammates all the time, and they get a rhythm going. This is the first game in the qualification series. I think we might be able to judge these teams better after this weekend's the second round of matches, after they've been together for a week and have gotten used to each other's style of play again, because it's not easy to just slot straight back into the international setup having played with your team for so long.
Because we left kind of the Dushabayev topic for a bit. Peter, can I get back? What was your initial reaction when you saw Dushabayev becoming Hungary head coach?
I was probably just as surprised as anyone else, as everyone else was, I believe, and I didn't watch their first match against Portugal, but I watched it on a live score sheet, and I also watched, of course, how it developed, and I think, oh my God, this is going to be a disaster start for Dushabayev. Thank God for him and for Hungary. They managed to turn the game around at the end and win by 1. But I'm really excited to see what is going to happen in the future with Dushabayev in Hungary, and with Dushabayev doing double jobs. That's going to be very interesting to see what that means to his and his wife's common bank accounts.
Thomas, it's interesting if you look, Bjorn, if you look at the team for Hungary and you see Veszprém and you think to yourself, there's such a strong team, but actually there aren't that many players from Veszprém that actually qualify to play for Hungary. So our idea that Hungary should be this absolutely fantastic team is not quite right. You know, Veszprém is a very international team now. So the Hungarian
team has since 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But I mean, this idea that we have that Hungary should automatically be beating Portugal. When I looked at the team sheet, you've a lot of players from Picksaget, a couple of players from Vesprem, minus Laszlo Nagy, and then you've Chastar, and then you've actually got guys from handball teams like from Balaton Furet, you know, playing on the national team as well. So this idea that we have that Hungary should be steamrolling the likes of Portugal maybe is not something that's quite true anymore. And maybe Talant Tuchabayev has to start all over again, and we have to give him some time. Not that we have to give him some time, but the Hungarians have to give him some time.
He has a lot of time in January.
Was that your impression when you spoke to him, Björn, that he has time to, you know, actually like impose his own coaching style, and that the federation will give him this time? Was that?
Yes, this is exactly what he said. He said, okay, they don't sign him for first 2 qualification matches, as Tom said. Now this is a longer process. He has a contract for until 2016 or 2017 even. That you see the Hungarian team, as Tom mentioned, they have to integrate some new players, and this is the thing that Talant says. Things like even middle experienced players, not like 17, 18-year-old, but 22, 23. This is what he's aiming to put up new players for Hungary, which then also means immediately new players for Vesprem and Szeged, because they should play in the best clubs. And he's confident that his federation, or the Hungarian federation, gives him the time. And I think if you sign Talant Tuchabayev, it's the same like in Kielce. Of course, you want to have immediate success, but it's all what he did in Ciudad Real and what he tried in Atletico Madrid is that to build up a team with his philosophy. And his philosophy of playing, which now is working quite good in Kielce, took 1 year or 1.5 years maybe, and then you have to make a cut and see, okay, if Hungary qualifies for the Euro, then what they are doing at the Euro. So even on Sunday, he knows now that where he has to work on after the match against Portugal, but you will see in Ukraine, they have tall shooters, and maybe this is a thing that fits better for Hungary than these smaller and quicker Portuguese players. But I think that they give him the time, and they know that they need some transition in the national team.
Nemanja, can I throw a Twitter question to you?
Yes.
Probably a bit hypothetical, especially if you talk to any guys somehow affiliated to SG Flensburg-Handewitt. But we get a question here on Twitter: would Lubomir Vranic be the better choice for Serbia?
Well, Lubomir Vranic actually was a choice for Serbia, and he would be a perfect choice for Serbia. But unfortunately, the two sides couldn't get an agreement, and we just have to wait and see how the team is going to react without him. So everything Lubomir Vranic has done for Serbia has been very, very good. And you see the qualifications for the 2014 Euro in Denmark. That's a result of his work. But, well, maybe in the future. I don't know. Who knows what the future holds.
When
he's
you,
living, sorry, Thomas,
yeah.
he's living the dream up in Flensburg, isn't he?
Sorry?
Lubomir Vranic says he's living the dream in Flensburg. He doesn't want to go to Serbia, you know?
Yeah, definitely. But I think that he kind of suggested that if there was anywhere else he would go, it would be Serbia. But yeah, let's not put words in his mouth. So.
If you look at Vranic on the one hand side, and if you look at Tuchabayev, Sigurdsson, many other coaches on the other hand, some opt for this, you know, being a club coach and a national team coach at the same time. Some, like Vranic, deliberately say, look, I'm living the dream in Flensburg. Is there, from your guys' point of view, is there an ideal solution? Is the one better than the other, or is it very, very personal decision?
I would say that if you have the chance, Talant told me that he's handball crazy. Maybe you saw in the interview also that when I asked him about the time of his family, he said, my two sons play handball and I would not see them if I have free time with Kielce. So in Germany it was a little bit different. Sigurdsson was asked, and he said, okay, if he can arrange it with the club. I think it's a very personal decision. When you also look at Manuel Cadenas, he even is very far away from the country that he coaches. So he's in Poland, coaching Wisla Plock, and he's also coaching the Spanish national team. That it's a decision on how you organize yourself and how who is doing your work in the club. You have to know, this is what Sigurdsson said, he has an assistant coach for Zerber, a famous German player before. He said, I only can go to the national team as I know that at my home club the things are working well and everything is running. So what Talant says is when I'm leaving the club, 16 of my players are also not there because they all play for national teams. It's another situation. But if you have something like 10 players who still need coaching in the time when you're away in the national team, then the club must have an assistant coach or someone else in the staff who's doing the job.
But I mean, in for instance, in Fuchs Berlin, Thomas, doesn't Dagger have somebody alongside him in that club that's also part of the German Federation? So he decides to pick a few guys that normally, for instance, Bjorn Drucks and Vida, would they have been chosen for the German national team had they not been coached by Dagger at Fuchs Berlin? You know?
Yes, they had been selected before, but of course they were brought where they are, not only by Sigurdsson, but also as Bob Hanning, as he's the youth coach of Fuchs.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. You know, so it fits there. I mean, I don't know. Did Alfred Gislason ever coach a national team while he was coaching a big club team?
Gummersbach in Iceland.
Yeah, but with which club and when was this?
Gummersbach, right before he was coaching Kiel, he gave the job to Gudmundur Gudmundsson, and this was, I think, in 2008. And then he said, okay, Gummersbach later on became a European Cup winner, so it's not a small club. But Alfred did it for 2 or 3 years.
My own personal opinion, Thomas, is that it must be very difficult to do because everybody needs a break. You also need to look and see what kind of players you might want to bring into your club. And if you're going from club competition to international competition, you don't have that time off maybe to be able to see what's going on around. That's my own personal opinion. We have a saying here in Ireland that you can't serve 2 masters. And I don't know if it works, but obviously there are people who make it work, so maybe I'm wrong. But my own personal opinion is that you can't coach a club and a national team unless it's something like Tchaikovsky Medvedi, where it was the national team and that was the club team also. That's I think is originally where they tried to bring as many Polish players home and Bogdan Venta was involved. Maybe it works there, but I can't see that it works overall. And by the way, does it not also say something about the lack of talent in coaching that must be out there if you have to find a club coach to also be a national team coach? It's a good question, Thomas.
Yeah. Peter, do you think in Denmark that would have been an option to go for a national coach that had a club coaching role at the same time?
I don't think the Danish Federation would ever have accepted that, but you can see that it works for I think more and more coaches. And for instance, Gudmundur Gudmundsson to use the new Danish Icelandic coach as an example. Well, it is said about him that he thinks handball 23 hours a day. That means that he must apparently only be sleeping 1 hour each night. But if he's so occupied with his mind is so occupied with handball all the time, it might be possible. But in the case of Denmark, I don't think the Federation would ever accept it. But of course, it's for the person, for each person, it's individual. What can you cope with? What can your family and your personal environment cope with? And it's of course also a question of the setup by the federation where you're a national coach, and the setup in the club where you are a head coach. Tom mentioned the thing about having the time to see what's going on with possible new players for the club team and so on. And of course, for a coach who covers both positions, both functions, it is of course a question of having a a very good assistant coach back in the club, and maybe a good sports director to go and find the players for the team. For instance, in Kolding, where they also have a coach who is national coach at the same time, and Christiansson, who is national coach by Iceland, where they have a director, Jens Bosen, who more or less decides on everything and who finds and signs the players who are going to play for the club for the next season and negotiate the extensions of contracts and everything. So basically, Aaron Christiansen only has the team to think about, only has the training and the matches, and by the way, 2 assistant coaches to rely on. So again, it's a question from case to case what is possible and what is not.
Well, guys, we've talked for almost half an hour already, but we haven't mentioned France, defending champions yet, and they obviously came out very strong yesterday, beating Czech Republic, admittingly without Filip Jicha, 41-26. I mean, Björn, is that French dominance ever gonna end, or is the team still and continues to be so good that it'll dominate European and international handball?
I met Claude Onesta some weeks ago, and I asked him if he's already in this status that his only job is now again to entertain the team instead of training. Because he said once when they were so dominant in the world, I'm more an entertainer than a coach, because the tactic in the defense is done by Didier Dinard, and the tactic in attack is done by Nikola Karabatic and Jerome Fernandez. So it's I'm doing a little entertainment and press conferences, something like this. But in the meantime, when you saw the Euro in Denmark, he integrated some new players like Valentin Port, like Kevin Nyoka. So this was a time when this fluid transition in this team. It was not that 8 players left and 8 new came, but he's doing it since 2-3 years when Dinard quit and when Guillaume Gilles quit. So, and when you see the talents those French players have, because they come from very good academies. So the youth program in France with their academies and the school relation connection is very, very strong. And you see they build them up in the French league, and suddenly they come in the national team like someone Valentin Port, who is a late nomination even, and then late registration in the team, and then he nearly decided the semi-final and the final. So you see the individual class is brilliant, and of course if you have helping hands like Didier Dinard for the defense, and Fernandez and Karabatic who make the tactic for the attack, it's a perfect situation for a coach. And I would say when you just look back from this failure they had in Serbia when they had a very weak tournament, and they can dominate it. And when you see a player like Jerome Fernandez, when you ask him, he's nearly 40 now, or even 40, he says I can still play 2 or 3 years, and he's still a leading factor in this team. So I believe when you just look at this group where France is playing, it's much more interesting if Czech Republic or Macedonia gets second, because none of them can snatch away the first position from the French team.
Tom, you obviously meet a lot of these guys in your weekly travels. Like, what is make French players so strong? What from your point of view is like their secret?
Individually, Thomas, every one of them is fast, strong, they can jump. I mean, their individual skills, I don't know what they're doing in the academy. Every single one of them just looks like they can play in any position. They're unbelievable. And they had a guy, Bjorn mentioned Valentin Port there, who was absolutely fantastic up in Denmark for them in the right back position when they had some problems there because the shoulder injury to the guy who came from Atletico, who's now in Paris, Bjorn, I can't think of his name. Yeah. But last night they had a guy called, or the other night they had a guy called Nyokas, who we all know. I think he played down in Schomburg and there. He came on the other night. I mean, they just seem to have this line of players that just constantly, and what they have is, and Bjorn will remember this from when Germany won in 2007. They had this huge kind of influx of new players in Germany. Peter will know up in Denmark, since they started winning things in 2008, that they have this huge, a national team is so vital for the next generation of players that's coming in. And France has been dominating everything for the last, well, who knows how many years now. I mean, they won their first title back in the 90s, and they just seem in the 2000s just to have kept going. So we have all of these players coming all the time, and they seem to be young players, and the French don't seem to have a problem to put them in, because there's a guy that can play outside them in either position that's able to help them along. And when you have somebody like Nikola Karabatic, and when you have his brother Luka, who started playing handball at 19 because he played tennis up till then, and now he's become like so vital to their defensive formation, you just think to yourself, is there any stopping them? And the Czechs looked really, really poor the other night, except for the boy Linhart. He was about the only one that came out of the game with any credit, and Stokel in goal had no chance, even though he wasn't bad. 41 goals in international handball, even away from home, is disgraceful. You know, but it's not a disgrace to lose against France by that number, because they are so powerful.
Peter and Nemanja, I mean, I saw you nodding quite a bit. Maybe from your point of view, is there anyone in this qualification, if we count all 28 teams, that can potentially challenge France? Are Spain good enough, just to put out one name?
Well, when I watched the final in Denmark in January between Denmark and France, I was sitting with the impression that it would take many years before any team would just get on the side of France, just get to the level of France. That was so impressive what they did back then. And if you looked at the way they had increased their game during that tournament, that was simply fantastic. Of course, I don't think you can judge all that much by the first qualification match, as we have mentioned before, and the home game against an injury-weakened Czech team may not be saying all that much. But I am, like others, very impressed by the way that the French are all the time able to integrate new talents into the team and make them key players in a hurry, so to speak. We have mentioned Port and Neo Carr on one back position, and on the other back position, the opposite back position, where France may not be in so much need of new blood, but we still have seen players like Akambre and Krebini being integrated in the team in recent years. And when you look at the age of those people, those players, I think that France will be a dominating factor for many, many years. What Spain can do, I'm very much in doubt about Spain. Again, I can think back of the tournament in Denmark and thinking of that very, very I would say mysterious semi-final between France and Spain, where France were leading and Spain were leading, and then France ended up by winning. It seemed a bit coincidence what team would end by winning, but still it was probably no coincidence that it was France. I don't see Spain being so consistent, so stable as the French team. So they may have difficulties in challenging them, and I think that goes also for Denmark, who made it to the final on home ground in January, but are still in a phase where we are trying to replace some key players who are left, and also bothered by some maybe long-term injuries. So it's difficult to see that some team will really be able to challenge France in their future. But thank God, still a long way to January 2016. So a lot may change in the meantime.
Nemanja, do you see any potential challenges? I mean, Croatia, that's obviously quite close to where you live. They're always keen to be on the podium as well.
Yeah, well, the Croatia seems to follow the pattern. You know, a lot of young players, obviously coming from Zagreb, and well, it's a young team. It's still very early to tell. As Peter said, that's a very, very long time to go until the 2016 championship, and we still have to wait and see. But Croatia definitely has the potential to be somewhere among, and also Spain. If they still had Valero Rivera as a coach, I would think that they have what it takes to stop France. But Tom told us that he doesn't know what they're doing on the academy level. I actually do know, and they're extremely well physically prepared. You know. They're doing the physical preparation before everything else, and then when the technical skill comes to it, it's just a brilliantly prepared player for the team, for the national team, and all the way from the under 17 level, they have nurtured the player to come to a certain role for the national team, and that's the strength that France has,
Yeah. Thomas, you can see it. They're incredible. The jump, their throw, their speed, every one of them, every single one of them, just looks like they can do anything they want. Just on the point of France, there was one particular point in the game where Niokas played a really poor ball down to Guillaume Joly on the wing. It was a really bad ball. Joly jumps off his left leg, playing on the right wing. And normally you see a player going for a shot, and you see Stokel on the near post, but instead he plays this Kempa across the area to Mahe, who's running in from the left wing, who jumps at sort of the left back position. You have to watch the goal. I'm not explaining it very well.
Looking, yes.
But it was absolute. It was just sheer instinct. There was nothing planned. There was nothing. But every single player has that speed and that ability in that French team to do something extraordinary. And when they have Nikola Karabatic playing for them, he's so strong and so physical that they can just do about anything they want. And then, as Bjorn said, with Dinar marshalling the defence, or training that defence and using the old Ciudad Real defence, they just look unbeatable at the moment. But Peter's right, 2016, a year is a long time in the media. We could all be gone from the Hangout. Could be, Anna Jokic and all our mates here next time talking about it,
Just to follow up, Tom mentioned Quentin Mahe. Got a question here coming in from Twitter. What do you think about his performance in the national team, and whether his performance gets anywhere close, slowly but surely, to his what's his dad able to produce back in the days?
Well, I'm not even gonna try to answer that.
Because that was for Björn. Did I say Tom?
All right, okay.
No, it was just that Quentin Mahe. He started brilliant in Hamburg, and the good thing of him is that you can put him on certain positions. You can put him on the playmaker position, you can put him on the wing position, and he even helped sometimes here when they had a lot of injured players. He could help in the backcourt. So his development in Hamburg was really strong, and due to the fact that the squad of Hamburg changed now, then he gets much more playing time now, and this will be good for the development of him. And also, this is the case, I think, that he can be a factor in the French national team, because Claude Onesta is only looking for players who have a certain playing time, who are used to play under pressure. And so the more playing time Quentin Mahe gets in Hamburg, the more playing time and the more chances he will have for the French national team.
Okay. Well, guys, thanks a lot for your time, and to finish it for tonight, for the Champions League, we've introduced a little game on Facebook called Beat the Expert. Tom, you can pick and choose a game, because obviously Ireland's not playing in the unfortunately in the European qualification. But I'll ask you, for the games involving the countries you come from. So Björn, your prediction for Austria, Germany?
24-27.
Nemanja, your prediction for Israel, Serbia?
Well, let's say 28-23.
Peter, your prediction for Bosnia-Herzegovina against Denmark?
26-29.
Tom, which game would you like to pick us?
Let me have a look. I'll go for Switzerland, France.
Yeah.
France to win.
Okay, that Tom also has to make a bet on Finland, Spain.
Okay, come on, Tom, you've been challenged. Finland, Spain, result included.
Come on, guys, that's not even fair. Finland, Spain. Let me look at my notes. Who's playing at home? Finland is at home. Ooh, this could be a tough one. Could be a tough one for Spain. I'll go Finland to get 20 goals at home, and Spain to score 37.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's a pleasure having you. Looking forward to seeing you soon. And now you can go off for dinner. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Enjoy the goose. Thanks, Thomas.
Enjoy the goose.